Hello, welcome back to Smith Farm Shenanigans. Today I'm going to show you some things I have purchased recently, that being some jet skis. I got these jet skis at a really reasonable price. The white one we'll start with first. The dealer told me that, the seller rather told me that this one here was running good. It's a 900 STS. Supposedly I'd put 1100 cc engine in it, in Kawasaki. I think it's a 2000. They stated that the starter solenoid was bad in it, and that he had someone come over to replace the starter solenoid, and he ended up burning out the CDI box in the process. So we're going to investigate all that today, see what the real problem of this is, see if we can get this thing fixed, or at least started today. Now, the first thing I like to do when I buy a jet ski off someone is to see if the engine will turn over. If you can't start it because the starter's bad or whatever, then use your hand and try to crank it, and I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. Okay, so I'll go ahead and remove the seat from this jet ski, and as you can see, it does have 1100 triple in it, according to this breather cap. We'll check that in a minute to make sure. And you can see this is a STS 900. I was going to look for the nameplate to see what year it was, but I think he told me 2000. So the first thing I try to do is try to crank them up with the battery, but I already know that it won't do that because he told me that the starter wouldn't crank over. So the first thing I like to do is take the cover off down here. If you see right down here is the shaft drive right here behind this where my hand is, and that comes off the PTO into the shaft drive for the impeller. So the first thing I like to do is try to turn it by hand. Now, you may not be able to do it if there's plugs in it. Like, I can't do it right now, so we'll take the plugs out and make it easier to turn over. Okay, now I have taken the plugs out, as you can see here, and here. And before assuming that you got a bad motor that's locked up, always check your impeller. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to turn this thing by hand now. Let me see if I can get you down here where you can watch. I have to go in this way. See if I can turn it. Okay, so the jet pump was not locked up, it turned freely. So the next option is we're going to have to pull this head here, right here, to see if the pistons are locked up, if we've got a fouled plug, or a fouled piston, or maybe a ring is broken, or something to that effect. So I'm going to set you down where you can watch, and we'll go through this together. Okay, so first of all, we'll take this cover off for the carburetors. They're 10 millimeter screws. There's 8 of them. I've already removed the screws from that, so we'll just lift that off. Go ahead and take your spark arresters out. And then from there, we're going to remove the carburetor so we can get the head off. So you'll want to move the carburetor covers here, the intake, you might say. Those are usually an Allen wrench, so I'll just use a driver to do it. Makes it quicker and faster. Two bolts here, 10 millimeter. All right, and that gives us access to the head and the carburetors too, if you wanted to take them off and see if they need adjusted, or if they need cleaned or anything like that, which I may do that. But right now we're going to take this head off and see what we get into inside there. First thing we'll do is take this right here, this hose off. This hose runs over to the exhaust, and it's a water inlet for the head. It's actually an exhaust for the head, water outlet. Just pull that off. You can pull it to the side, that's fine. Now, you're gonna be left with these. I think it's 12 millimeter. Let me see here. These are 12 millimeter bolt caps here, and there are numbers on them. That's the number of your sequence to torque them. 1, 2, 3, 4, so on. When I take these loose, I like to go in the reverse order. So I would start at the last one, which is 18, and work my way back to 1 when I loosen them. Do it like I do and drop one of those down in there a second ago. We'll get it out in a minute. Well, 11. 8, 4. Now, get all those tucked loose. There's washers on each one of these, so make sure you get all those off, or you'll drop them all down your hole, and you'll have a hard time finding them all. They're really pain in the butt, especially if you drop them underneath that motor. So I like to take them off separately by themselves after I got the taps off. I just dropped one right there, see? They're very easy. And I dropped another one. Okay, so if you do drop those nuts or washers down in the hole, you can use a magnetic thing like this to get it to fish them out. Can be quite challenging though sometimes, so just take your time and work with it, you'll get it. But be careful, don't do like I did and drop them in. So if this head's stuck, which it's not, stiff up slowly, just in case there be any washers on it. And then when you get over to the side, just turn it upside down, make sure there's no washers on it. Now, we can see that take the head gasket out. We'll order a new head gasket for it. And when that comes in, I'll show you how to put it on. Don't ever reuse an old head gasket on a 2-stroke, especially because they may leak, cause you problems, cause the cylinder to run too lean, and cause you to blow your motor and then ruin the head and blocks and all. Okay, so as you can see there, the pistons look pretty good. I don't see any stamping on it. It means that it's probably never been rebuilt, because usually it'll say standard on it if it's standard bore, or if it's bored a little over, it'll say 0.025 or 0.25, whatever. But I don't see any markings on this one at all, so that tells me that it's probably never been rebuilt. That's kind of a good thing. So, next thing I want to do, I'm going to take some of this here. This is called Mystery Marvel Oil, Marvel Mystery Oil, and all. What I'll do is I'll put some right around these rings, let it set for a few minutes, and then I'll come back with you and show you how I get that engine broke loose. Now, if it's seized up real bad, if it's been sitting for say 20 years or so, this trick may not work, but it usually does. It usually does. Just be gentle with it and take it easy, and you'll get it all right. So I'll show you what to do in just a few minutes when this oil has time to set. Okay, after that Marvel Mystery Oil has set for a while, you can use 2-stroke oil. I've heard people using 2-stroke oil, but I've had better luck with that Marvel Mystery Oil than anything. So after it's set for a little while, what you want to do take you a soft hammer like this. Don't take a framing hammer or something like that. You want something made of rubber or neoprene like on this side. And take your small wooden block. You're not going to hit this hard. You're just going to tap it a few times on each cylinder. What that'll do, that'll jar. If the rings are seized against the wall or whatever, it'll jar it loose. I can see right now it's already starting to move. So all I'm going to do is stop right there. And remember, you don't want to hit it hard. You just want to hit it enough to jar it loose. You're not trying to drive that wood block through the piston. You just want to do it enough to jar it loose. Now I'm going to take my hand and try to turn it again. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, there we go. See there? See, I hope you can see that. The pistons are turning now. That looks good. Now what I'm going to do next is look at the walls. I'll show you. We're going to take a light and look at the cylinder walls and make sure they're not scuffed up or anything like that before we put the head back on. That one looks good. See what this one looks like. That one looks good too. And yeah, they all look pretty good. I don't see any significant wearing on them. I can tell where the rings were stuck for just a little while there. But that's okay. Alright. So now, when the head gasket comes back in, I'll show you how to put it back on. And we'll go from there, okay? Okay, so what I like to do next is I use a soft brass bristle little brush here on my drill. I'm just going to go in here and clean this all out. You just want to hit it lightly. You don't want to scuff it up so bad you can't, you know what I mean, leave scars on your head. And just, you can use it on a drill. If you want to use a Dremel tool, that's all right too. Just be careful with it. Put you something down in each, like I've got here. You want to put you something down in each one of those cylinders. You don't want to keep that debris out of there if you can. Put your drill on high. And we're just going through here. I'm just going to kind of brush this off. That's all we're doing. I'm not trying to do nothing crazy with it. Basically, I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll be back with you. I just want to show you how to do it, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so now I've got this back one done. I'm going to wipe it off. I'm going to see if you can tell the difference between it and the other two cylinders. And all we did was brush that old gasket material. See, those metal gaskets have a thin layer of some type of material. It almost looks like some like Permatex or a small layer of silicone. I'm not sure what's on those. But needless to say, there's a small layer of something on there, and that's the thing you're trying to clean off. I'll show you the gasket here in a few minutes. Now, you can tell the difference. See this material right here, and then right here, that material. That's what we're trying to get off. There's a little flake cut right there. As you can see, it's all clear off that back cylinder, and that's what you want. Just wipe it down a little bit, and we'll come back and clean this with something like paint thinner or something like that. You can use alcohol, whatever you want to use to clean that real lightly on there. Doesn't matter really. Alright, so now got these all brushed. I was going to show you. Here's a piece that fell off my finger here. Here's a piece on this little piston. That little black stuff right there is what you're trying to get off. That will cause a leak, believe it or not. You don't want any leaks around that head gasket. That can cause a lean condition. A lean condition on either cylinder will cause it to run too hot, and running too hot will cause it to blow that cylinder, i.e. bust the piston, bust the cylinder, maybe bust the block. And you don't want none of that. So make sure you clean that off, because you want that seal as good as possible. Once we get this wiped down, we're going to take some alcohol, or like I said, a little bit of paint thinner. Anything you want to use is fine. Just remember one thing, and that's not to get all down your engine. So what you want to do is take and put it on your cloth like this right here, and wipe it up from there. And you're just trying to clean it off so that gasket material from that other new head gasket will stick to it good. And them studs on there makes it a little rough. You can take those out if you want to. But now if you take these studs out, you'll have to tap those out with a tap before you put them back in, because they'll get debris down in the bottom of them, and then when you go to retorque them, you won't get, the torque won't be right on it. You'll think you got 22 pounds and you won't have that much, or you'll have too much. So be careful if you take those out. Make sure you retap them with a tap softly. Run it down in and back out. Clean that debris out of there. I don't take them out unless I have to. Like if I'm rebuilding an engine, I'll take them out. But that's the only way. Now, once we're done with this, we're going to turn around and do the exact same process to the head that came off of here. We've got to have that surface just like this surface, good and smooth, dry and clean. No oils, no debris on it. And the reason being the same thing. You want that head to seal good. You don't want to waste your time and effort and then end up blowing the engine as well. That's not a good thing. So make sure you do the same thing. All right, see how that kind of looks white now? We're looking good there. I'm going to put you on pause. I'll go ahead and I'll clean the head and I'll show you the head when I'm done. Okay. We've got the head cleaned now. You can see it there. That's good and clean. You don't worry about down in here. That's just little oil and stuff. Don't worry about that. Just outside is what you're worried about. Now, next thing you want to do is get your head gasket. Mine came in. When you order these head gaskets, there's several different types on the market. There's some that's made out of like, I guess some type of felt paper or something like that. Don't ever use those for your head gaskets or for your base gasket down there. They need to be metal. These go through a lot of heat sometimes, and if they're not metal, these are sealed better for one. For two, if it gets really, really hot, you can, those felt paper gaskets will blow out, and these won't. Not as easy, I should say. I ain't gonna say these will never blow out, they will, but not as easy as a felt paper gasket. All right, this is a WSM gasket. Now you can get these from any of the reputable brands. It don't matter as long as it's a good brand. Don't get that cheap eBay stuff though. Be careful about that. Now on this gasket, you got an arrow and you got some words. You can't see the words. I mean, you can, but it's upside down, so you need to flip it to where it says up. See, that says U, not P. Now this arrow needs to go toward the front of the motor, so we need to turn around like this. So, arrow to the front, the words UP up, and then just drop it on there. Now, I've heard many people debate this, what I'm getting ready to tell you. A lot of people say you need to put a little bit of RTV sealant on this and on the head. Don't ever do that for these heads. You can do that when you put your case together, but when you're putting this head on, you don't need that. This black coating is what it's for. It will heat up and it will seal that head, and you don't need anything else. If you're using Permatex or anything like that, you can run the risk of having a leak. So don't ever do that. I don't care what nobody tells you. That's not what's supposed to be done. I don't care if your grandpa did it or if you did it for 10 years. That's not the way it's supposed to be done. Back in the olden days, a long time ago, they did make those metal gaskets and they didn't have that black film on it, and you could use Permatex, but now they have that black film on it. You should never use Permatex on those. So we'll just drop a bunch of these washers on there. Hopefully I won't drop no more down the hole, because that's a pain in the butt getting them out, I can tell you that. Take your time, put them on easily. In no hurry, because if you drop them there, like I said, it's a pain. Now, just like that head gasket, this head here, there's an arrow right here. See this arrow? Front or forward. If that's back this way, you got it backwards, and that cooling line will be over here, and you're going to cause yourself a bunch of problems. So make sure that's how you put it on, with the arrow pointing toward the front. That's on Kawasaki engines. I usually fool these Kawasaki's. I'd have to look at the Yamahas and Sea-Doos. I fooled a couple Sea-Doos. I don't remember if they have the arrows or not. I just don't remember. It's been a while. But anyway, on the Kawasaki's, make sure you put that arrow forward. Now on this 1100 and the 900 are both, and that goes for your ZXIs, your STSs, the ZXIs, all these ones, the STX, all of them. They torque, the head bolts torque at 22 pounds. Now, I don't like to torque them all at once. I usually do 11 pounds and then go back and torque them at 22. I think the manufacturer says just torque them down to 22. So I guess it doesn't matter their preference there. So I'll be right back with you when I make sure I got all the washers on there. I think I missed one somewhere. So I'll check it out. All right, so now we're just going to go ahead and put the taps back on, the same thing. Be careful, just kind of screw them on a little bit with your hand. Don't start these with an impact driver, start them by hand. It's okay to barely run them down with an impact driver if you want to, but don't power on them at all because you'll mess your torque up. So to give you a little more information about this ski, the owner told me that, like I said, it was running. He said it was running great this year. He had it on a lake this year, and then it wouldn't start back. He didn't tell me why it quit, or if it quit, or if he just went to start it. He didn't say really, and I didn't even ask him. But he said he was running it, and it wouldn't start back. And then he said he went to try it again. It still wouldn't. All it make was a clicking noise, click, click. So someone told him it was the starter relay, which it very well could be. So he ordered a starter relay. He didn't know how to put it on, so he hired some kid down the street or whatever. And as you saw earlier, I'll give you a better shot here in a few minutes. They took the CDI box apart and they literally melted a bunch of wires. So we'll go through that here and see if we can get it figured out. By the end of this video, I'd like to get this thing at least cranking, and if there's nothing wrong with it, get it even running. I think that'd be great. Some evidence. So when you go to buy these jet skis like this, these older two-strokes that's used, first thing to do when you get there, before you even go actually, ask the owner if he's going to let you do a compression test. Always do a compression test. That don't tell you everything, but at least it tells you if you know it's going to need to rebuild soon or not. Second of all, ask him if you have access to a scope, if you know what a scope is. But that's something you can put down these little plug holes here, and you can see the inside of the pistons, inside the cylinders, I mean. So you do that. Look down in each side of one of those, and what you're looking for there is obviously anything obvious, like busted pistons, cracks. But also, reach down there, and like I said, and crank that with your hand. Take all the plugs out and crank it with your hand. And as you crank it and that piston goes down, look at the cylinder walls, see if they're really scarred up. And if they're not scarred up, go to the next one and to the next one. And that'll tell you a lot. If that wall's really, I mean, it's going to have wear and tear, just a little bit of wear, you'll see little marks and whatnot. But what we're looking for is deep scratches, deep cuts, gouges. That's what you're looking for, or rust even. So once you get those two things done, that's going to tell you a lot. Now, if he won't let you do none of those, or if you don't have access to a scope, first thing you're going to do when you get on site, like I showed you, is reach down there, and if you have to take that cover off, that's fine. But you want to crank that and see if you can crank that engine. Take the plugs out. You want to turn it by hand. If it start with a starter, that's great. But a lot of times they'll tell you, oh, starter's bad or battery's bad. It needs a battery. So take a battery with you if you have to. And if they still won't let you crank it, turn it by hand. If it won't turn, you got either a locked motor or a locked impeller. And then you'll have to investigate. In our case, it was the motor just sit for a while. He said it'd been run this year, but I honestly don't think it had been, because it just seized up for it hadn't been run for a couple of years probably, and that's fine. We'll get on with it. All right, so we're going to torque it now. All right, so you remember what I told you? These are numbered, and I'll usually, like I said, I'll usually go to 11 pounds first, then come back and go to 22 pounds. These torque to 22 foot-pounds. So we'll start off with number 1. Number 2, number 3, number 4, 4. I like to call them out to myself. That way I don't miss them. Number 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. By the way, I'm a country boy, so you may notice my country slang, and that's all right. 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. Now, we're not done. Remember, I do them in 2 steps. So I'll go back up. I'm going to go on up to 22 pounds. And I won't show you this one because I showed you the process. But just go back on up to 22 pounds and go through them again. And then once you're done again with that, that'll be your final torque of 22 pounds. Then I'll go back one more time and just check to make sure they're all at 22 pounds. I'll be right back with you when I get those done. Alrighty, I got them all torqued down. I went around and rechecked them again, make sure they're as torqued, and they are. So the next thing we'll do is we'll start to go back here and tackle this CDI box. Now off camera, I went ahead and checked a couple things out, and the solenoid was clicking, but it wasn't doing nothing. Every time I pushed the start button, it just go tick, tick, tick. So that could be 2 things. It could be a solenoid, it could be the starter, or it could be the bendix in the starter. So that's usually what it is, the bendix in the starter. But so I went ahead and I took a screwdriver, and I want to show you what I did here. A lot of people don't know if you know how to do this or not. It's not that hard at all. So what I did, down here is your starter solenoid right there, and there's 2 screws if you can see them there. Let me move this light out of your way. Right here. Take a screwdriver and just barely touch those like that, and just pop. And that'll tell you if the solenoid's bad. If it cranks, the solenoid's bad. Well, mine cranked, and so then I know the solenoid is bad. So now I'm going to replace that solenoid, and I'll be back with you in a few minutes when I get that done, and then I'll let you know where we are from there. Okay, after some work and stuff, I found out that the solenoid is definitely bad. I put a new one on it. He had one with him, so I didn't have to order that. He'd already ordered that. And I'll show you here where we at. So this is your ignition box here. This big black box here is what causes your pistons to fire, your plugs to fire. And so that plugs in. But now if you look right here, here's the solenoid right here. Right there where my finger is. And that's what I just replaced. And the wires will burn up. I'm gonna have to solder these. I'll do that here in a few minutes. But right now I just want to see if we can get the fire up and start. And if you can see down here, right there, see that wire? That's bare. That's not supposed to be bare. That's a black ground wire. And that's where they melted it all up. It goes all the way through here like that. They did a mess on it. And I'm gonna have to place it back and see how far it's melted. And see down here, even right there where my finger is, that's even melted. If you can see there, I don't know, let me, there you go. See that, how that's melted? That's still ground though, so we're okay. If had that been a positive or something like that, we could have been in some serious problems right there. So now, next thing to do, since we got that thing cranking, we know it cranks now, we're gonna hook the battery up, and we're gonna see if it's getting spark in the spark plugs. So I'll be back with you when I get some of that stuff hooked up, and I'll show you what to do. Okay, so I'm back, and I want to show you what I've done so far. And I've realized that I may have not showed you how to put the the starter solenoid in. It's actually pretty easy. You know, I showed you earlier about crossing those 2 screws out right over here to get the starter to turn over if the solenoid's bad. And they just 2 bolts on the outside that holds that in there. It's just 3 simple wires. Just take a picture before you take your old one out of how the wires run, and then just put the new one back in and hook it back up just like your picture. As for me, I got the solenoid put in, and I put the cover back on. Now I did want to show you what happened here. So when you're working on these things, you know, I'm sure the guy that did this didn't intend on this happening. The guy here come over to do that for him. But from right here, if you can see there, that is melted. So I'm gonna get this to focus. There you go. See how that's melted all the way down, and all the way into the box. But luckily for me, that right here, see, luckily for me, that is a ground wire. I may take it loose later and seal it and put some heat shrink in it to just for safety purposes. But as of now, I'm probably gonna let it go until I make sure this thing will run. So next up now that we got that E-box put back together and everything hooked back up, got a few wires to plug back in. Then we'll go ahead and get the plugs out one at a time, and we'll just take the back one out. And if it fires, if it sparks, we'll go ahead and try to start it. And if it don't spark, we'll go from there. But I'm confident it will, because you said it ran before, and the only problem was the starter not cranking. Now it cranks over. And I'll show you that here when I get the battery cable hooked up and the spark plugs back in. Okay, see you in a minute.